This is absolutely fantastic news from Mazda. If there is one company that I think has their entire lineup just figured out, and the models that they have right now, I don't feel like Mazda need to update pretty much any of them because they're all so good. And that goes for the Mazda 3 as well. Personally, I do prefer the hatchback over the sedan. Both are beautiful designs, but I just like the hatchback better. It has a very distinct design to it. And Mazda says that they're going to keep the Mazda hatchback in production, this one, up until 2032. That is insane because it came out in 2018 as a 2019 model, and they say that they probably won't make a completely new Mazda 3 up until 2032. I don't mind that at all. This is, to me, I think this might be the best hatchback on the market today. So it gets a little bit pricier for 2026. I don't care. It's just a couple of $100. We're going to have a look at the new updates for 2026. And of course, have a look at this design, the Kodo design language from Mazda that they've been using since, I think they started it maybe 15, 20 years ago, going back. And it's a very, very interesting design DNA that Mazda has. Kodo design language, of course, meaning having empty surfaces, play around with empty surfaces and a couple of sharp key lines. And I don't know if you've heard me say that before, but that is my personal favorite type of design language that we have for Mazda. I think for the value, if I were to buy just A to B car or a daily driver today, I think honestly I would go with Mazda, probably a Mazda 3 Turbo, even though the sad news about the Mazda 3 Turbo is, the sad fact is that you can't get the all-wheel drive turbo with a manual. I do think it has about 250 horsepower, and if you put a manual in that one, it would be an all-time great hatchback. But unfortunately, you can only get it with a 6-speed automatic. But still, I would still get the turbo because you get more power, you get all-wheel drive, and you get these front splitters that look so good on the Mazda 3. So let's jump into this Car Scoops article here. Have a look at what's new for the 2026 Mazda 3 before we jump into Photoshop and talk about this design. It's been around since 2018, but it's still a beautiful looking car. So 2026 Mazda 3 gets pricier, but at least keeps the manual. Thankfully, they still keep the manual. As I said, for the non-turbo, that is front-wheel drive only. Mazda 3 enters the 2026 model year without major upgrades. Don't need it in sedan and hatchback forms. Despite new tariffs, pricing for the 2026 model year only increases between $75 up to $915. So here you have the entry-level Mazda 3 sedan. Now starts at $24,550. That's just $400 more than last year. The hatchback begins at $25,550, so $1,000 more, and that is only $165 more than last year. Such a great value for these vehicles. Here you can see the entire lineup. I do believe this, it doesn't say, but you have two sections here. This is, here we go. This is the sedan, and this is the hatchback right here. The one I would go for, this one, the top of the line, the 2.5 Turbo Premium Plus all-wheel drive. That is the one you can't get with the manual. If you could, it would be a one heck of a hatchback. But it starts at $25,000 for the base model, which is also a great vehicle. The interiors of these cars are stunning, fantastic. Don't want to change a single thing in this interior. I'm going to let you know why when we jump into Photoshop in a minute. But it gets $13,000 more for the top of the line Mazda 3 hatchback here. Definitely worth it for me. So the Mazda 3 first arrived in late 2018 as a 2019 model. So it's been around for a while. And they say, interestingly, it does not have received a proper facelift. Reports suggest that the next generation might not appear until 2032. So Mazda is keeping things fresh with minor tweaks right now. And look at the details here. We have LEDs, pulsating indicator lights that we've seen from a lot of Mazdas. We have this splitter in the front end for the turbo, looking absolutely stunning, and the overall Kodo design. Look at the reflections in the body lines. If you see a Mazda 3, doesn't matter if it's a sedan or the hatchback, and you walk around it a little bit, you're gonna notice all the beautiful reflections in the bodywork of these cars, and that is why I think it's such a beautiful vehicle. Simple lines with a couple of sharp key lines. You can see one line here, for example, in the hood, and one in the bottom right here. Absolutely stunning looking machine. So the biggest change for 2026 model year is that the 8-speaker Mazda harmonic acoustic audio system is now fitted as standard. The same applies to the 8.8-inch infotainment display, and you have the LED lights as well. The base version of both the sedan and hatchback, they ride on 16-inch wheels. Now 16-inch in 2026 is a little bit too tiny. If you put some proper wheels on the hatchback, lower it by maybe half an inch, it becomes an absolutely beauty. It's sculpture on wheels. It's such a beautiful design if you put some nice wheels on there. So you can get up to 18-inch from factory, but I would probably go with, I think 19s would be a perfect fit for the Mazda 3. So then the flagship Mazda 3 Turbo Premium Plus gets a 10.25-inch infotainment screen, leather seats, and a 12-speaker audio system by Bose. Powertrain choices remain the same as last year. Don't need to change those. Those are great. Do not put a CVT in this. Still have the old 6-speed automatic, which is a great transmission. You got both naturally aspirated and turbocharged version. Continues to stand out as one of the few cars still offering a 6-speed manual. Glad to see that that is still in production in 2026, available on selected trims alongside the 6-speed automatic. You can get it front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive if you want to, and the 2026 model year is supposed to reach dealerships right now, so this summer. With that said, let's jump into Photoshop and have a look at this beautiful piece of art that is the Mazda 3. My 11-hour online class in design sketching is now only $47. If you have any desire to pick up the skill of sketching products using simple tools such as a big pen and cheap print paper, this is something you want to check out. Over the years, I've taught thousands of students from all around the world how to sketch cars and products, and most of them have seen amazing results from my classes. Analog Designer Pro Pack is the full bundle of all my classes I've released over the years, and it's yours for just $47. Check out everything that's included and see what my students have to say in the link in the description, or simply visit analogdesignerpropack.com. This, to me, if there was if I could give a design award for car designs, this would definitely be in my top 3, maybe even the number 1 when it comes to hatchbacks. Even though, what I like what Mazda did here, we're going to talk about that more in the side view, but this area right here. But starting with the front end design, typical Mazda design. Look at this beautiful line, long hood for a small hatchback, and how the graphics sits within this framing. Everything in the front end. You have the big headlight, thin headlight sticking in to the fender itself. We have this Mazda grille in the front end as well, looking beautiful. This is not the turbo version. This just has the standard lip in the front end. The turbo comes with a more aggressive front lip, which I think makes a huge difference. It's just a subtle little detail, but it just looks so much better. Then we have the Kodo design language that we talked about. Soft, empty surfaces, couple of sharp key lines. You can see that line up here in the hood. We have another line down here in the bottom going down like this. And what I like about Mazda, when they do the front end designs, they don't put any sort of fake vents in the graphics. I love to see that. We don't need it. These are the 18-inch wheels. As you can see, they are blacked out. These are definitely wheels that I would personally switch up like that immediately to something that is not black, and also lower it maybe half an inch. Lower it half an inch, put some 19s on there, and you have a beautiful looking design. Now look at this area right here. This hatchback design, very unique looking design, specifically in the C-pillar in this case, because it gets very, very tight in the rear end. And I love that Mazda did this. They could have made the rear window, the passenger window, a lot bigger and have more light and space in the back, but instead they chose to make it look unique. So it intrudes a little bit on the functionality and the space in the rear end, but I love when car companies do this. They put aesthetics in front of functionality. Still, you can still sit in the back here. Me being 6'1", I have no problem sitting in this, but you're not going to see out a lot because the window is so small, but it creates this big volume right here, which I think looks beautiful. And one interesting thing here is if you look at the shoulder line, we don't really have a shoulder line at all. Instead, it's just a big empty surface with some absolutely beautiful looking reflections. You can see the reflections here, for example, going in the side and how it creates from the D-pillar going down here, creating a nice muscle over the rear axle, and how this sloping roofline dips down. This is a design that I'm not sure how Mazda is going to top this design with the next generation Mazda 3. I am almost 100% certain it's not going to be as good looking as this one. And you see this baseline here as well, starting from the very front end, going into the side. I love to, when I see cars, I just love to look for the line flowing cars. And this has clear line flow right here in the lower section with one single line creating the base for the vehicle. And you can see that underneath this line, it goes inwards. So it angles inwards a little bit. And this creates this feel that it's properly planted on the ground, because this panel, this surface is always going to be a little bit darker than the rest of the vehicle because it's angled towards the ground, creating this planted stance for this vehicle. I mean, everything about this car is just spot on to me. Looking at the rear end, we still have the soft volumes in the rear with clear Mazda identity in the taillight graphics here, for example. And just look at how rounded and beautifully soft and fluid everything is in the back. We have this spoiler up top. We do have almost this European waterfall style for the bumper going in. It's not as defined as the Europeans. We don't have a sharp line here, for example, which is totally fine. But then it goes into a properly defined bumper with this line, with this surface going down and creating the bumper in the lower section. And we have a blacked out diffusers, not sticking up too far. And in addition to that, we even have dual exhaust pipes right here. So to me, I mean, it really doesn't get better than this when it comes to coded design language. The Mazda 3, when you look at the sketches, for example, you can see just how much passion went into designing this car, because you can see the sketches look like pieces of art that are in some sort of movement when you look at them. I love to see that. And last but not least, what makes this car so great, and Mazda in general, are the interiors. Now these interiors are some of my favorite interiors in 2025 and 2026. There is absolutely not one single thing that I would like to change here. You can see that in this case we do have the front wheel drive with the manual transmission. This manual is very fun to drive as well. Very thin steering wheel, love to see it. And look at this stunning housing for the gauge cluster with the analog gauges inside. Analog gauges is starting to feel like it's such a more high class compared to just digital stuff that we have in every single car today. We have this beautifully integrated infotainment screen as well, sitting inside of this bay with this red portion covering up a little bit. And last but not least, we have the climate settings being completely separated with the temp knobs and the heated steering wheel and the heated seat buttons right there. Start stop button in this area, USB. Probably have some wireless charging going on in this area. So I'm personally very happy to see Mazda not updating the Mazda 3 for a very long time. I want to see this in production for another, as I said, up until 2032. I'm completely fine with that, because to me this is by far one of the best hatchbacks, if not the best hatchback, for what you're paying, the price you're paying on sale right now. And that's gonna go into 2026 as well, even if we have a small little increase in the price.